Welcome back, True Seeker. Last night I uploaded a video 3 times that definitely has audio, and every single time I uploaded it, it was muted. If you tried to watch the video last night, everyone's comment pretty much says no volume. Here's the video. Here's what it sounds like.
Welcome back, True Seeker. In the news, all poultry activity suspended in Georgia after bird flu confirmed in a commercial operation.
So anyway, rather than go back and listen to the video I was trying to play for you guys last night, let's just do a live stream about it in real time so it can't be muted. I'm going to read the article, and then I'm going to go through everything that stands out about the timing as we approach the 5th anniversary of the cooties being confirmed in the U.S., something that was simulated by the Johns Hopkins that also simulated a pandemic in 2025. If you're not aware of SPARS, S is in Sam, P is in Pam, A is in Apple, R is in Richard, S is in Sam, SPARS 2025. Again, that simulation was actually back in 2017, but the same Johns Hopkins did simulate a major pandemic in 2025. Let's hope it's only a simulation and doesn't become reality. But again, 2025 off to quite the start with this bird flu. If you're in places like Washington State, you're feeling the effects because egg prices are through the roof out here. Anyhow, all poultry activities have been suspended in Georgia after bird flu was confirmed in a commercial poultry operation, officials said Friday. So we're going to get to why Friday matters in light of bird flu. The positive bird flu case in Elbert County, remember that's where the Georgia Guidestones were. You might recall last year on what would have been the 44th anniversary of the etchings on the Georgia Guidestones being unveiled. That was March 22nd, 2024. You might recall how Chick-Fil-A out of Georgia had a big announcement, how they were going to begin using lower quality chicken meat. The positive bird flu case in Elbert County was confirmed by the Georgia Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, a news release said. You know, out where I live here in the smaller part of Washington State, a little more rural, they're getting their first Chick-fil-A restaurant here in probably a matter of weeks. So I find that interesting, the timing of all this. But anyhow, this marks the first time bird flu has been confirmed in a commercial poultry operation in Georgia since the nationwide outbreak began in 2022. And again, this has been a quieter story in the background, but it's coming to more of a fever pitch at the end of 2024 and escalating as 2025 begins. 2022 is when they wound down their cooties scandemic. In 2022, and the 5th time the virus has been detected in the state. All poultry exhibitions, shows, swaps, meets, and sales in Georgia have been suspended until further notice, the state's agriculture department announced. Also, all commercial poultry operations within a 6-mile radius have been placed under quarantine and will undergo surveillance testing for at least 2 weeks. This is a serious threat to Georgia's #1 industry. Keep in mind, big focus on Georgia. The college championship is going to be there Monday, Inauguration Day. This is a serious threat to Georgia's #1 industry and the livelihoods of thousands of Georgians who make their living in our state's poultry industry, Georgian Agriculture Commissioner Tyler Harper said in a statement. We are working around the clock to mitigate any further spread of the disease and ensure that normal poultry activities in Georgia can resume as quickly as possible. On Wednesday, the poultry producer noticed symptoms of the flu in their flock. Samples were collected the next morning. Now, keep in mind, Wednesday was MLK Day. Wednesday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the Georgian native. Also interesting. You had the thing begin with Capital One, their problems, as Trump announces the ceremony is going to be in Capital One Arena. And again, inaugurations on MLK Day after these things happen on MLK's birthday, a Georgian native. Again, samples were collected the next morning and taken to the Georgia Poultry Laboratory Network for testing. The lab detected the positive case on Thursday. We'll come back to that. That was January 16th, Thursday afternoon. And the USDA's National Veterinary Service Laboratory confirmed it on Friday, January 17th, according to the news release. The Georgia Agriculture Department's emergency management and response teams were then deployed to the operation on Friday for depopulation, mass extermination of chickens right now. And again, just this We're going to get to the sync with the Georgia Guidestones, which are monuments to depopulation. First, it was chickens, and then it was who next on the animal farm. For depopulation, cleaning, disinfecting, and disposal, according to the news release. Over the weekend, the teams are expected to continue their work at the site, which had approximately 45,000, remember that number, 45,000, broiler breeders when the virus was detected. The positive case came back a week after the virus was detected in a backyard flock in Clayton County, CC, according to the state's Agriculture Department. It also comes nearly 2 weeks after the nation's first human death from bird flu was reported in Louisiana. An increasing number of bird flu cases among commercial and wild flocks have been confirmed nationwide, with 94 confirmed in the last month, according to the USDA. Of those, half were commercial flocks, while the other half were backyard flocks. There were 11.16 million birds affected, the department said. The number of flocks with bird flu in the U.S. nearly doubled in December compared to the month before. According to the USDA, 122 commercial and backyard flocks tested positive, up from 62 in November. Already 44 flocks have been confirmed so far in January. Hello, Georgia. But if you guys are new here, we're going to get to Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of calling numbers into words. Georgia equals 62 and 44. After the nationwide outbreak began in January of 2022, the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service confirmed bird flu in a commercial flock in February 2022, marking the first detection in commercial poultry since 2020. There is also an ongoing outbreak of bird flu among dairy cattle. Think about how big of staples in the food supply eggs and dairy are. There have been 67 human bird flu cases in the U.S. since April 2024, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In nearly all human cases, the patients had been exposed to infected animals, according to the CDC. The current risk for the general public to bird flu is low, but people who keep chickens and other birds in their backyards need to be cautious, as do workers on dairy and poultry farms, health officials said. Again, mass scare. And, you know, who's going to be susceptible to this is people like my sister. My sister, about a year and a half ago, they got a chicken coop, and they've really enjoyed it. I won't be surprised if I hear about that my sister had all of her chickens taken down here in the near future, because she just obeys the news like it is a command. She's the only one in my family like that, sadly. But, okay. So, if you're new here, Gematria, right? Bird flu. Okay. Remember 45,000 where they got to start the depopulation. Remember 2025 has a square root of 45. Here we are in 2025. All the big shootings and truck over the crowd, those were all 45 rituals. As we talked about, New Orleans 45, Cybertruck 45, Asa, Missouri, or whatever the name of that club was, 45. All the stories on New Year's Day from New Orleans to New York. Again, what we're teaching here in the news is how all of this stuff is contrived ritual. What day did they have to lock down operations for poultry in Georgia? Friday, January 17th. Bird flu, 117, right? 117. The biggest industry in Georgia gets locked down on January 17th, where Ground Zero is a place with 45,000 breeder chickens. Again, this is news by the numbers. Now, just notice how Georgia and poultry also overlap in Gematria. Let me put this up here. Can you see how poultry's 127 forwards? If you're new here, the 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26, just substituting the letters for numbers using the alphabetic order. The alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Notice poultry, 127, 37, 62. Georgia, 127, 37, 62. And again, we talked about the 44, 62 thing in their story. Remember, the case was confirmed on Thursday, that the poultry was contaminated with bird flu on a Thursday. You see how poultry has that 35. If you're new here, we call it 35 Thursday. There's always 35 rituals in the news on Thursday. And again, the point of understanding this is so that you can see through the ritualism that goes on every day, how literally agendas are being contrived. And again, yes, this would mean that the companies would have to, at least some of these companies would have to be on board with the agenda. The reason that they would be on board with the agenda is because these companies are part of a larger cabal. And notice we now live in an age in 2025 where there's just a few companies that dominate essentially every sector of the market, the Tyson chickens of the world and whatnot. They can afford to take the momentary losses, whereas the smaller people who are still in the game cannot. And it's just like how in the time of the scandemic, the temporary lockdowns forced a lot of smaller people in the game all the way out, and then the bigger companies ate up the market share. The Amazons, the Walmarts, the Costcos of the world, they got bigger than ever. And again, this is part of how the game works. And this is the problem with having so few control so much. I mean, literally, we're a nation of approaching 400 million, and almost all of us are buying everything from like one of a handful of companies. It's like a small group of people are serving us all, getting wealthy off of us by dominating the market as they do. So again, you got the bird flu lockdown of the poultry industry in Georgia by the numbers. And as soon as I read this, it just reminded me, because I was talking about this last year. This is last year. Again, the Georgia Guidestones, the monuments to depopulation that were taken down by the numbers on July 6, 2022, on George W. Bush's 76th birthday, which was also Daniel Coit Gilman's birthday, who was also a member of Skull and Bones. Remember, R.C. Christian, the name on the Georgia Guidestones, equaled 76, like Skull and Bones. They were put up in the time of Jimmy Carter, who became president-elect in 76, and who was the 76th governor of Georgia. And we talked about how his death was 907 days after the Georgia Guidestones came down, which was the same day as the plane crashes in South Korea that happened at 9:07 a.m., 907 weeks after the last plane crash in South Korea. And in the sports community, we've been talking about how that was synced with Notre Dame because their coach is half South Korean, and Notre Dame's going for their 907th win in the championship. Again, the last time Notre Dame won the championship is when the Georgia guy, Jimmy Carter, well, actually the second to last time, in 77, when Jimmy Carter became president, Notre Dame won the championship that year. But anyway, it's slightly beside the point. Chick-fil-A on the anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones unveiling their etchings on their 44th anniversary. Again, this is important because Georgia is 44, genocide is 44. The Georgia Guidestones were a monument to genocide. And you can see how genocide and Georgia are actually a triple overlap. Georgia, 62, 44, 37, genocide. Same things. And chicken also has the 37 connection in that same cipher, just for the record. Right now, they're exterminating a lot of chickens in Georgia. But also just notice how Chick-fil-A fits in. The Georgia-based company, 6244, like Georgia and genocide. And again, that was the 44th anniversary of the unveiling of the Georgia Guidestones that Chick-fil-A rolled back the quality of chicken announcement, if you will. And you might recall the other big story in the news that day was the woman in the royal family who unveiled she had cancer that day. We thought that was curious because cancer is 44, like chemo, like kill. And again, it's a very common form of death, more and more common as time goes on, as more and more money and resources are supposedly dedicated towards cancer research. You see more and more people dying from cancer at younger and younger ages. Again, it's all evidence of the scam that we live in, where a lot of people have known how to avoid cancer and minimize cancer and fight cancer for decades, but they don't talk about it and try to share that information online. You get taken down for misinformation, even though it's the correct information. Again, this is the age we live in, the age of deception, censorship, and where big money trumps all other things. As Trump from big money takes office in the rigged selection that we told you back years ago. But yeah, just also just here saying same thing, chicken, Georgia genocide. So here's what's noteworthy about the Chick-fil-A thing in light of what happened Friday. From Chick-fil-A's announcement, March 22nd, 2024, to January 17th, the day that they locked down the poultry industry in Georgia, was exactly 43 weeks later. Now, where's 43 matter? Are they foreshadowing this? Remember, pandemic equals 43. Back in 2020, do you remember how They simulated the pandemic the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China, with Event 201 on October 18th, 2019. In the simulation, 65 million died. That simulation was done by the Johns Hopkins and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the simulation took place on the 65th day of Melinda's age, and the pandemic began in the year that Bill Gates turned 65 years old. Bill and Melinda got married while Billy was 38 years old. The Wuhan whistleblower died on the 38th day of the year. But then also recall how the first case of the cooties arrived in Bill Gates' backyard in Seattle on the 15th day of the first month in the land of the world's biggest needle, the Space Needle. But pandemic also 151, like the 15/1 date. And also, October 15th, in light of the whole thing being a Jesuit scam like it always is, October 15th, January 15th was the 65th day of the Superior General's age, the leader of the Jesuits. But yeah, I do find it interesting how this happens in Georgia, the biggest bird state in terms of food industry, exactly 43 weeks after the Georgia Guidestones anniversary and the Chick-Fil-A announcement, which means it also began the 44th week since that happened. We're in it now, the week that the inauguration is going to happen on the same day as the college championship in Georgia. And again, it matters, the Georgia Guidestones, because they said it was Albert, Georgia. That's where the Guidestone, or Albert County. That's where the Georgia Guidestones were. So this is what last night's video was. And yeah, again, just bizarre that, well, it's happened before. It's happened a few times. It hasn't happened a lot, but normally when it does that, if you re-upload it, then the sound comes through. And I tried it 3 times last night, and every time it was muted. So I was like, okay, I don't know. Somehow, some way, they figured out how to shut this thing down. But yeah, we keep getting this bird flu stuff by the numbers. And remember, 2025 has a square root of 45. Bird flu's got the big fat 45 in it. It's got the big fat 72 as well, like Jesuit order. It's got the big fat 36 in it, like the Jesuit acronym IHS. And then again, just about the 19-year cycles as well. 2006 was the last time bird flu was the story of the year. Again, the moon moves on a 19-year cycle. These people move in 19-year cycles. It's why COVID-19 came 19 years after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers. But yeah, 2025 marks 19 years since 2006, the year of all the bird flu crap. And because, sorry, my mind is not retaining things as well as it normally does because lack of sleep with the little one over here, just past 2 months on the 16th. But here, just to document some of the other bird flu things we covered, the January 6th story out of Louisiana, and they said the person was over 65, right? There's that pandemic number. But again, Louisiana's 38 and 61. Pandemics in Louisiana got the 38. This happened on January 6th, which can be written 6/1. 38, big death number. Again, the bird flu connection. That was 50. The first bird flu death was 56 days after the Superior General's birthday. Bird flu death, 56. Just deja vu in the numbers. So that was something we covered. The cats dying from bird flu, the irony in that. But again, a lot of cats died up near Seattle. You might recall all the tiger symbolism at the start of the scandemic back in 2020. If you haven't read my book, it's still out there. I didn't get a royalty last month, so I think it might be the first month where it sold 0 copies. But this book is out there. It came out in the middle of 2020. It's too bad everybody didn't read it. Might be living in a different world right now. But again, did write in the book why they'd wind down their scandemic when the year of the tiger came around, exactly what they did. So, yeah, the cats dying. And that's the thing, too, about this happening at the end of 24. Bird 24, cat 24. That was a curious story. The first severe case of the bird flu in the U.S. was confirmed by the CDC December 13th, and then the news bulletin was put out on the 18th. So The bulletin was put out 33 days before the inauguration, which again is happening on MLK Day, who's very connected to Georgia. Bird's also 33. And the first case was confirmed 38 days before the inauguration. Again, pandemic 38, DC up on the 38th parallel. That number was huge the last time around. And again, they synced up the last scandemic with Trump. Remember, he's Jesuit educated like Biden. The scandemic began 56 years after Trump's Jesuit education began at Fordham. And he waited to declare the emergency until Friday the 13th, 2020, a date with 56 numerology. Slick Willie, his Jesuit brother through education, was locking down California, saying 56% will get it in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. His other Jesuit brother, Anthony Fauci, was doing a 56 here, a 56 there. What were they calling that thing? The Fauci ouchie? Can't even remember how to spell it now, but it's another 56. The Fauci ouchie. Let me see. Fauci ouchie. Or no, there must have been a different spelling. I know it was another 56. It doesn't even matter. Whatever. But yeah, again, we've been worried about 2025 and all the things foreshadowed for this year through the Deagle report, through They Live, where in 2025 they got full control of the world. The military weather control essay from decades ago about having full control of the weather by 2025. The SPARS pandemic simulation. And yeah, 2020. I mean, we were saying how in that movie Lockdown 2025, how LA's on fire. We were wondering if we might see that this year. We didn't even have to wait a week. LA's on fire by the numbers. Again, just predictive programming and entertainment is absolutely a real thing. And somehow, over half of the U.S. populace is totally clueless about this. But again, it's a reminder. Don't live in fear. Just live prepared. Have the right mental preparation. Expect the worst. Or what do they say? Prepare for the worst, expect the best. That really is the right mindset in this world. But again, an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. In case they start doing stupid stuff, in case food just gets crazy, or we saw in 2020 with the scandemic how quickly the shelves could empty. What they did with toilet. You guys remember the toilet paper ritual? I mean, come on, man. Didn't even make any sense, but it was like a joke on humanity. Toilet paper was another big 56 joke. The cooties was selling out the toilet paper. But again, a lot of stuff on the shelves did get empty. You could see similar things happen. So that's what I mean. Just have your rainy day supply, non-perishable food, water, first aid, just things you need to get by, the bare necessities. And again, just having the right frame of mind, understanding that you live in this time where these psychopaths are ruling over us and, creating agendas to create problems that lead to what they want. Like by 2030, you'll own nothing and be happy, as the Jesuit Klaus Schwab said shortly after the Event 201 simulation. It's just one ritual at a time. Just it gets us closer to all their ideas. All of these little rituals have made life a lot more expensive. Food, insurance, healthcare. I mean, you see how they're achieving the depopulation. Like I said, I don't know how a young person out of school would ever even be able to like, okay, I'm ready to have kids, not with student debt and how much everything costs. It's like, and in states like mine, what's dumb? I have to make sure that my baby has dental insurance. It's state required. It doesn't even have teeth, no teeth. But by law, they have to have dental insurance. I know they'll have teeth in 6 months or so. But it's atypical to take your child to the dentist when they're an infant. But yeah, it's just again, and they make all this stuff outrageously expensive, and then they mandate you have it, and it's just again the age we live in is the age of insanity. And again, the only thing that's going to change it is people waking up to what's going on and getting ahead of it and stopping it before it happens. I mean, we've been calling out how bad 2025 could be for a long time now. And hopefully we've already seen the worst of it, but it seems like it's a narrative that's surely building. And yeah, again, you can't let it depress you. You can't let it make you live in fear and hunker down. You still got to live your life. It's just make sure you got some things in the cupboard in case things get even crazier. You got water in the cupboard. You got dry, non-perishable food. You got a little first aid. You got something to heat some water up with, cook some food, a little propane stove, propane. I mean, these are things you can have on a limited budget, and you don't have to let it go to waste either. I mean, that stuff's in there, and you weren't, it's nearing expiration. Just eat it. But again, a lot of canned food does last years as well. So, and again, canned black beans. Maybe you're out there, I don't like black beans. Well, I'm sure if you were in some kind of food crisis, you might grow a taste for black beans. And the thing about black beans is inexpensive, nutritious. You're in Fallout world, canned black beans would be ideal. You can feed multiple people, and even out here, as expensive as grocery are, you can get organic black beans for $1 a can still. So, one can of black beans could easily feed 2 people for the day. Somebody out there like, what? I would eat at least 3 of those cans. Yeah, maybe your normal eating habit, but again, you eat half a can of black beans. There's a lot of protein and nutrients in there. That's what I mean. Just having a cupboard full of black beans. Water, not expensive. Could end up being biggest blessing you ever had. So, yeah, again, I mean, they did forecast a lot for 2025, and it really has gotten off to a bang. So, and by the numbers, every last story by the numbers. But what else is new? All right, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Shout out to my friend in Dallas who gave me this hat. You get this hat when you get your channel deleted 1,000 times. If you guys can't see that logo, that's if you never gotten your YouTube channel deleted, that's what it looks like. You get an email with that logo, a ref with a red card, and they say, sorry, your channel's out of here. I've seen that one 20 sometimes. It's always been a great video. And then it said like it was medical misinformation. It's like, there wasn't any misinformation in that video. Again, I'll put my book up about the scandemic up against anybody's. Accurate forecast of when they'd end the scandemic. Pretty much everything I wrote was 100% correct. That kind of information is what they call misinformation in the days of lies and deceit. So, good one. Adding to that 65 list, and yeah, some overlap numbers from what we saw in 2020. But yeah, the 19-year cycles in 2006, bird flu was the thing. Yeah, I think we're gonna leave it there for now. So as always, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And by the way, videos, you guys, like when I started uploading more videos about 4 months ago, like 5-minute videos, they were doing well. They were getting about 5,000 views on average. And I was like, oh, this is a good way to get the content out there. But for about the last, actually, probably within a few weeks of doing that, the views had dropped down to probably between 1,000 and 2,000 on average. And it just stayed right there. Like the average video I upload gets between 1,000 and 2,000 views. I don't know if it's just YouTube messing with the numbers or if people aren't watching them or they're not getting notifications. But I do see a lot of people say like, oh, I just got a notification about this 4 days after you posted it. You guys, the YouTube channels I like, I don't wait for notifications. I search their channel and then I click on their video tab. Here's what I do. I go to YouTube, right? And let's say I wanted to watch RPM Trey Vietnam, say I want to watch his channel. I'd go to his channel and then I would click on it because I know that YouTube's always trying to block videos they don't want you to see. I'd click on his videos tab. I would say, oh, he got a new video 4 days ago. Okay. Did he have any new shorts? Maybe he's got some new shorts. Did he have a new live video 11 days ago? It's been a minute since he did a live. But that's what I do with the channels I like. I go to the channel and then I search the channel to see what they got. Because YouTube is not going to notify you if they blacklisted a channel. So, yeah, and then the thing is too, when your videos consistently get low views, then YouTube like downgrades your channel and moves you even further down in the algorithm. So I feel like everything I'm doing on the channel is just making it worse for the channel to reach anyone. And yeah, again, I don't know what to do because I've asked people to do these things 1,000 times. And it seems like a lot of people just only go and they click YouTube and subscriptions. And if it's not in the feed, they're not going to watch it. So it's an easy way for YouTube to suppress channels by people's behaviors of how they find content. All right. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Again, have a good rest of your day. And until next time, Truth Seeker.